am Erik Linask. Thanks for joining me for this edition of TMC Newsroom on the Road. We're here in Dallas, Texas today, and I'm talking with Sipera's Adam Boone. Adam, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Erik. It's a pleasure to be here.
Maybe a great place to start, especially given the economic climate the last year, 2 years even. Sipera's actually seen some remarkable success and remarkable growth over the past 12 to 24 months. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, that's true, Erik. We've seen about 300% growth in our demand over the past year, about 2,400% growth in the past 2 years, and we've just had this huge spike in demand. And a big reason for that, I think, is that the unified communications industry and deployments have really started to reach maturity out there. Our solutions are focused around providing unified communications security and compliance so that you can migrate to unified communications infrastructure without violating privacy rules, without violating your archiving and logging and monitoring rules around your communications. And that, in fact, has ended up being a huge driver for moving to unified communications in a way that people are able to do it now safely and securely.
Are people coming to you after they find they have security issues, or are they coming to you with an understanding that they need to address these issues in advance?
We see both cases. In certain cases, a customer will literally call us up on the phone and say, I need you guys here now. We just got a bill for $100,000 from a couple weekends ago that in long-distance charges that we didn't make. It's a clear-cut case of toll fraud. We had one of these a few weeks ago with a customer who called us up and said, someone hacked our systems and ran up over $100,000 worth of calls to Cuba. Well, they didn't make those calls, and they needed a way to figure out what was wrong with their security architecture in order to prevent that from happening again. So we're immediately brought in, more or less on an emergency basis, to help address issues with potential customers who have not been able to address this proactively. But what we're starting to see more and more of is customers, enterprises who are looking at this proactively. They're understanding that there are new security risks, there are new issues that may pop up that may violate their compliance with privacy laws or these sorts of things. And so they want to get out in front of it, they want to address it proactively, they want to be able to migrate safely and securely to unified communications.
So when you talk about the growth of unified communications as a driver for, for your business, how much work do you do with unified communications vendors?
We're very closely aligned with the unified communications vendors. We're an Avaya DevConnect Platinum partner. We're a longtime partner of Nortel and continue to be with the Nortels being brought into Avaya. We're a Cisco Developer Network partner in the unified communications unit there. And so we have a very closely aligned relationship with all those partners. In fact, we are integrated and interoperable with 52 different call servers and unified communication servers out in deployment today. So we've spent a lot of time and effort to make sure we are seamless and plug and play. We offer a security appliance that just drops right into that network, into the enterprise network, and it secures all those unified communications applications. As I said, it's seamless and interoperable.
What impact does Avaya's integration of Nortel's technology into its own business have on your security solutions?
One thing that we expect to see and that we are starting to see is that in addressing different verticals, the Avaya solutions and the Nortel solutions are obviously going to be merged, and they're going to be ending up with different flavors of solutions for the different vertical sectors. The vertical differentiation for security is extremely important to us. It's one of the things that we actually help to resolve. So for example, if you're a healthcare enterprise, you have certain rules around patient data and how it must be handled as it traverses that unified communications infrastructure. We can help address that very simply and easily if you're deploying Avaya or Nortel gear or Cisco gear or what have you. We can do that in a plug-and-play fashion and provide comprehensive security for all that data. Same is true of education. If you are a university, you have certain rules about the way you can handle student data or financial aid data related to your student population. Same's true of financial services, retail, if you handle credit cards. Any of those verticals have very unique and special security requirements that must be addressed on how information is handled.
Do you have separate solutions for the different verticals, or are they just modified? Are they modified versions of the same product?
They're modified versions of the same product. In fact, what we've built is a platform that allows you to address any unified communications application. So whether you are using VoIP or IP video or instant messaging or collaboration tools, or are planning to use or going to use someday applications that we haven't even dreamt of yet, we can future-proof your security posture for that. You can drop those applications on there, start to run them, and our system can handle that and enforce the security policies for that.
How does the growth of the mobile space with the increased development of and adoption of smartphones and then integration of those into the enterprise environment, how does that impact you? Obviously, there's a strict need for security in those instances as well.
No doubt, and in fact, that's been a huge driver for a lot of our growth. One of the biggest issues facing enterprises today as they move to VoIP and unified communications is what to do about those smartphones. Smartphones can be a real wild card. It introduces something that is typically entirely out of IT's control or the telecom operator's control, the telecom officer's control. It is potentially using networks and third-party applications, which they have no idea how to manage or what the security posture is going to be for those. And so it becomes a real headache, a real management headache for them to figure out what to do around that. One of the solutions we introduced late last year is a smartphone, VoIP, and unified communication security solution. What that does is it allows you to extend VoIP and unified communications from the enterprise out to that smartphone. And it's entirely under the control of the enterprise IT manager. It's not using some wacky third-party VoIP application that they downloaded off an app store. It's actually using the same PBX or call control functionality that's in the enterprise extended out to that smartphone device. It's an immensely powerful application. When you deploy this, you're actually able to expose all the call features out to that device. So I can use my iPhone and do 4-digit extension dialing just like I'm sitting in my office. It's been a huge driver in our growth.
How does the development of an increasing number of smartphones, multiple operating systems, impact you? Do you have to do some additional development work as new devices are rolled out?
We do, and in fact, what we focus on are two aspects of this. With smartphones that have the proper security standard already built into them for encryption and that sort of thing, then we do an interoperability testing and we make sure that we're going to be fully interoperable and be able to extend the enterprise's unified communications architecture out to that device. So it really becomes an interoperability testing regimen for us. But in other cases where the phone itself may be such a generalized operating system and doesn't support that kind of encryption, we actually offer a client, a software client that gets pushed out to that phone. It resides on that phone and it provides a completely secure, encrypted channel out to that device. We just recently, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, released our iPhone version of that client and have demonstrated it to a number of customers.
Getting back to, we started talking about your growth. Despite that growth, how big of a part of what you're doing still today remains educating the market on, as you really need to secure your communications?
Yeah, it is true that a lot of what we do is focused on education and the need to just look at this stuff proactively and not wait until you get hit by toll fraud or identity theft or vishing or eavesdropping or any of the other number of risks that there are out there. In fact, what we've seen is the most successful customers look at this very proactively and say, I'm going to migrate this traffic, say my VoIP traffic, my IP video conferencing traffic, and migrate that to this new network, and I want to make sure that I can keep the compliance officer happy and not be violating their compliance rules. I want to make sure that I'm keeping my confidential data that is important to the running of my enterprise completely private and controlled and secure, and I want to get the right architecture in place to make that happen. So it really is in one sense, it becomes an enabler of being able to do unified communications and move into that new architecture more rapidly and with a greater chance of success.
Well, there's certainly still plenty of room for growth in the UC space, so I imagine that means plenty of growth potential still to come for Sipera. We've been talking here in this edition of TMC Newsroom on the Road with Sipera's Adam Boone. Adam, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Eric.